History is full of weird, unexpected, hard to believe, and outright stupefying occurrences. The more you study the happenings of the past, the more you begin to understand just how limitless this world is. Nonetheless, few events spark as much utter bewilderment as the Great Emu War of 1932. The mere name brings about a sudden tide of confusion. So, what really happened? The first inklings of what was to come began around the end of World War I. When the Australian government struggled to employ their soldiers returning home, a promise was made to thousands of the men who would utilize some of the untouched lands in the West to grow wheat in exchange for subsidies. While the government failed to follow through on their promise completely, the veterans did begin to grow wheat on their new farms, though it was not easy in the slightest. Facing both the effects of the Great Depression and an ongoing drought, the newfound farmers also became quickly aware of yet another issue: emus. Thousands of large, flightless birds with a craving for fresh wheat. While it was typical for these emus to migrate from the inland to the coast after breeding season, the new factor of the land actually being utilized caused a significant issue. Not only were the birds attracted to the increase in water availability thanks to the livestock on the farms, they also ravaged the wheat crops and destroyed the fences, allowing other threats such as rabbits to now enter. Outraged, the former soldiers sought relief from the government, traveling directly to Canterbury with a plea for Defense Minister Sir George Pearce. The parties decided on a plan that involved the enlistment of military troops brandishing machine guns with 10,000 rounds of ammunition, under the terms that the cost of transportation for the troops be covered by the Western Australian government. Meanwhile, the farmers were responsible for providing ammunition finances, as well as food and care for the military members deployed. On November 2nd, 1932, the troops were ready to begin their anti-emu campaign under the authority of Major G.P.W. Meredith. With their focus around the Campion area, the troops found only mediocre success, at best, within the first couple of days. On November 4th, roughly 1,000 emus had been seen heading in the direction of a planned ambush set up by a dam. Conveniently for the emus, Major Meredith's gun jammed after only a dozen of the birds had been killed, allowing for the rest to quickly disperse unharmed, leaving none to be spotted for the remainder of the day. The following days brought no more favor to the troops, barely denting the mass of approximately 20,000 total emus. At one point, the men even attempted to mount one of the guns onto a truck to gain an upper hand, but alas, no further advantage could be found. Consequently, with 2,500 rounds having been fired by November 8th and an unknown total of birds killed, the campaign was called off and the military was recalled. Given Major Meredith's comparison of the emus to Zulus, it's no surprise that the undeterred animals continued to wreak havoc, prompting the farmers to yet again petition for aid. Resuming the military's role in the debacle on November 13th, only a mere 40 emus were killed in the first 2 days, followed by an even lower rate in those ensuing. However, by December 2nd, an estimated 100 birds were being exterminated per week. By the time Major Meredith was recalled yet again on December 10th, he claimed to have killed around 986 emus, with another 2,500 being fatally wounded. While the so-called war against the emus did not truly end with the military's leave, future requests for help were denied in the coming years, leading to a proposal in 1950 by Hugh Leslie, who requested the supply of ammunition from the army to be utilized by the farmers. The appeal was approved and met at an amount of 500,000 rounds. While neither the emus nor Australians seemed to have claimed a decisive victory, the Great Emu War really did happen, and it really was a war against a horde of flightless birds. What can be learned from such a peculiar incident like this? If nothing else, simply the fact that it is best not to assume what is and is not possible in this wild world we live in.